Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Dan Oman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING. Get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator exclusively on DRF Bets.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to one of several Kentucky Derby episodes on Past the Wire TV. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of stuff leading up to the Derby. Today, we're starting off with two, what I would call astute handicappers. We've got Dan Cronin, Keeneland Dan, Fat Bald Guy Racing. I'll put a link to his website at the bottom of the comments. If you don't know who he is by now, I can't imagine that you're watching this show, but you never know. So you'll find out a little bit about who Dan is during the show and at the link at the bottom. And Jimmy Mcnerney, who is the track announcer at Ellis and Turfway Park. And in addition to the difficult task of calling races when you may have a wager, he is also an astute handicapper. And what we're going to do on this show is whoever you like or don't like in the Derby, you're going to hear a little something about, because these two gentlemen are going to cover all the contenders right down the line, starting with Epicenter and Steve Asmussen's 100th try to win the Kentucky Derby. But let's not put too much into that. Dan, you're the big stat guy. I don't know, Jimmy, but I know you're big on stats. I remember when Pletcher used to run like 4 or 5 horses in the Derby and couldn't win one like forever. So let's start off with this very simple question. Is this Steve's year?
I think it could be. The fact that, I guess in a way, Baffert's not here, right? Even though his 2 horses are here. And I think he's actually got a legitimate chance for the first time, probably since Gunrunner. I don't know.
He should have won.
Yeah. He became a great horse. He just wasn't ready to tackle the 2 Bafferts that year that early, but he ended up being a superstar. So, I think Epicenter, first of all, I would throw the Steve Asmussen stat out the window. I don't think he's had enough legitimate chances to really look at that. He hasn't had a bunch of, what was Nero and Gunrunner, probably the only 2 that were under 10-1, maybe. Unless I'm missing somebody. He's had a lot of rank outsiders. And this one, I should go off favorite, I would think. I love the fact that he's had a 1 3/16 race. I love the rising buyer numbers and the rising Briz numbers. The longer the races get, the better his speed figures have become. I think he showed a different dimension last time, which also excited me to be able to sit third. Didn't need the lead. They went 111 and change, which is pretty close to what they're going to go in the Derby. Maybe they'll go a little faster, but I'm not so sure they will, depending on if early voting ends up in the race or not. And then the breeding people will always tell you, well, he's a storm cat. He's a storm cat. I don't worry about that. Not this time. Might have been a superstar in his own right. Still owes me money from the Breeders' Cup. I don't know why I laugh about it, but you have to, right? When you lose bets.
You have to laugh those off.
Yeah, it cost me a fortune that day. But his dad was really good. All the whole lineage is good. It's all distance, it's speed. he's going to get the perfect trip that we have seen. I mean, we could probably name 20 Derby winners from Barbaro to American Pharaoh to Smarty Jones. I mean, and just keep going down the line of horses that were 1, 2, 3 out of the gate and just kind of stayed there and just kept going. And I think he's one that's got a great chance to win. What do you think, Jimmy?
I don't know how much is left to say that you didn't touch on the horse. I'm with you. I did like that race last start where he was off the pace. He showed us a new dimension, and he relaxed really nice and comfortable for Joel. And when he called upon him, he just sat down and kicked it into another gear. But I don't think that was the final gear. I think there's a couple more gears to the horse. Like you said, rising Briz numbers, rising buyer numbers. He's a versatile sort, and I do think it's Steve's year. They had plenty of left in the tank. I'm not worried about distance limitations with the breeding. I do think the horse can stay on that long, and he came home quick, second fastest final furlong in the field. Came home quick for the final 3 furlongs too, and I like that going the mile 3/16. I mean, he made a subpar 36th. Final 3/8, and like you said, there's just not a lot left to say. The horse is a very talented horse. He's versatile, and it doesn't need to lead. And I do think there is some speed in the race, and he showed that he'll relax, and he gets probably the strongest rider in the country with these whip restrictions they have. He's definitely the smartest, so just tons of upside. And I don't think there's much more I can say that you didn't already touch on. I think the horse, for me, it's him, and another one I'll talk about later. I think they're standouts.
Interesting. I'll offer a couple of quick thoughts. And these are not necessarily my opinions. I'm just asking you guys questions, but I always look for nicks or chinks in the armor, so to speak. Okay, so I've got 2 questions, and I'm not a big stat guy, and I'll let you both answer them afterwards. But because I want to hear what you both think. But 2 questions that come to my mind is, one, the fairgrounds races have not really been Derby producing winning races for whatever reason. May mean something, may not. Again, I'm not a big stat guy. And my other question is, even though he looked to have won the last race as easy as a horse could win, I still sometimes worry that those big efforts that sometimes look easy are maybe not as easy on the horse as you think. So my question is, A, any concerns about coming in from the fairgrounds, and B, any concern that maybe he peaked or ran his big race 1 race too soon?
I don't have it. Go ahead. You want to go, Dan?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, there's a little bit of concern there. I do have a big concern about the 6-week layoff, and I know that's the way the whole industry's been going. But just being an old school guy, I would much rather have 4 weeks if we had to have 5 weeks, but 6 weeks makes me really nervous. That's the one thing that, is he going to come up empty in the lane off that 6-week layoff? But yeah, the fairgrounds, the Louisiana Derby's never been a great prep, but the Risen Star was just outstanding. So, maybe it just happens that it's been a little bit different, that the horses all went to the fairgrounds this time, and that prep, that Risen Star is what I stare at, is a very legitimate race.
And he had a very legitimate excuse. I'll just add one thing in the Lecomte that I will share with you that a lot of people may not know. And you guys will understand, and some of our viewers will understand. It's a 100% legit excuse, and it's first time it's being told publicly is right now. I never win at the fairgrounds. I can't cash a ticket at the fairgrounds in 20 years. And that particular day, I happened to bet, because it was all stakes. I didn't like any of the cards anywhere else. A big pick 4 or pick 5, whatever it was. It was pretty chalky, but I wasn't deep. I think I had a $15 or a $20 ticket, and then another ticket for $10, and they both wound up alive, singled to Epicenter. So he had a ton of weight on his back that day in the Lecomte when Call Me Midnight beat him. And I'll take personal responsibility for it, because like I said, I can't cash a ticket at the fairgrounds no matter what happens. They could run a match race, and one of the horses can get left in the gate, not come out until the other horse is about 3/8 of a mile ahead. He'll run me down if I got the one that got out of the gate. It's uncanny. So
I feel you there. That is a lot of weight. I'm the same way when the Breeders' Cups at Churchill. I've been closing to so many pick sixes, and you know, I think part of the reason Zenyatta got beat was because of me singled to her. So I certainly understand that
I
weight.
was single to her that day myself on
Yeah.
two tickets, so I would have had it twice.
She had a lot to overcome then. But yeah, I'm like Dan. I think there is a star race. I think if the horse was, you know, say maybe going to peak or run a really strong race and bounce, I thought his bounce or his the next race would have been the Louisiana Derby, and you know, I just think he handled it with ease. I'm not concerned about the extra couple weeks layoff. Steve's all-time leading trainer in the game, and you know, I like the horse. Is one of the first horses onto the grounds at Churchill. He's already got a couple works over the track, and he's been there. And you know, I have no concerns at all on the horse bounce, and I think the horse is just now starting to peak, and I think he's peaking at the right time.
The next horse on the list is also trained by a guy who is as well respected as anybody in the industry, one of the best trainers in the game today, and maybe ever. And he's still a young guy with a lot to accomplish, and he's already got a Hall of Fame resume on turf and dirt, but he does not have a Kentucky Derby trophy. That's Chad Brown. Zandan. What are your thoughts? What are both your thoughts on Zandan?
Well, just what you two just said about Zenyatta, Zandan's going to have a lot of weight turning for home because I've got the winner bet at 89 to 1 on him. I've got several people that followed me to the window that day out in Vegas to bet on the horse at 89 to 1, touring the casinos to see what we could get that day. We were out there to watch UCLA Gonzaga, and we were touring around looking for the best odds on Zandan. So then we get home, and the first Derby pool on Twin Spires, the horse ended up 56 to 1. So I pressed it. I'm the only idiot that presses a winner bet, right? But I did. So turning for home, this horse is going to have an awful lot of weight on him. And here's what I'm nervous about, though, honestly, is what kind of trips he going to get? I mean, is he going to be way, way back? Is he going to be in the middle of all that craziness? You know, the 3 mile and an eighth races, is that 3 or 2? I can't tell. I know he ran at least
3.
3 mile. Yeah, so he's run 3 mile and an eighth races. That I love. I absolutely love. He's going to run all day. His bluegrass was very exciting to my pocketbook and to just getting him in the gate on the first Saturday in May. I love the fact that Pratt picked him up. I don't think Pratt gets what he deserves across the country just yet, and I think people are going to figure out how good he is. That trip in the bluegrass was an amazing trip. I was screaming the whole turn with, "What are you going to do, kid?" And when he found those seams, I went, "Oh boy, here he comes." And I knew he was going to run Smile Happy down. Of course, people around me didn't think that was going to happen. And he ran right past him. And this horse can run all day. It's just going to be, can he get the Animal Kingdom trip where he can come storming down the middle, no one in his path? Hopefully he doesn't try to sneak up that rail, but you know, if you can get lucky, like Street Sense and Mind That Bird, I guess, but it's just more than likely you're going to get crushed trying to do that in a 20 horse field. So could he win? Yes. His numbers are perfect. I love the fact he's only run twice since January 1. I love the 2 prep angle to leap that third race forward. I'm just scared of the trip.
Legitimate concern. You know, I loved him in the bluegrass, and he carried a lot of weight that day because I told a lot of people, you know, that morning that I was likely going to make my biggest bet of the year on him to win the bluegrass. And I was hoping for 5 to 2 or 3 to 1. I was hoping Smile Happy would take a little bit more money than he did. And I can honestly say that my bet was big enough that he might have been 5 to 2 or 3 to 1 had I not bet the way that I did. I didn't think there was any way he could lose the bluegrass. But that was, you know, that was April. One of the things I found interesting, and I'm curious both your takes on this, he ran that race to Epicenter at the fairgrounds in the Risen Star, and Chad chose not to run him back in the Louisiana Derby, but to run back in the bluegrass, which I thought was kind of odd. You know, he was stabled in Florida. He could have run him in Florida and then the bluegrass or the Florida Derby. So I thought it was an odd path, but like you, I like the the 3 mile and an eighth races. And I won't question Chad's way of getting a horse to peak on the first Saturday in May, or when he wants him to, whatever the case may be. But what are your thoughts on him, Jimmy?
I'm with you. I just you guys, I was all over him on Bluegrass Day too, as everybody was, for obvious reasons. But kind of like Dan said, I don't know how you're not going to get that kind of trip in the Derby that he got. Well, I shouldn't say you're not. It's highly unlikely. The traffic trouble he did overcome, it was a little bit. I mean, he took dirt. The seas open when they needed to part. When they did, everything worked out. He run down Smile Happy, who was racing a little bit green in the lane, and I think he was even on the wrong lead there at one point. And so he run by a green tiring horse. Yes, he did it with ease in some of the tank, but I'm just concerned 20 horses getting that far back with a horse that's only raced 4 times and only run through that stuff one time. It's too much. You have to be really close at the top of the lane to win this kind of race, and I think he's going to be with too much to do. Now, will I use him underneath? Absolutely, of course.
A lot of people say that, and the stats don't lie, and again, I'm not a stat guy, but, people have been saying, and there's a lot of talk about how the last, several derbies have been won by horses that are, 1, 2, 3, somewhere, up close around the racetrack. Do either of you think that Zandan does not have to be as far back as he was in the Risen Star and the Bluegrass? I mean, Pratt, like you said, Dan, Pratt makes the right moves. You know what I mean? He does.
Yeah.
He puts horses in the right spot.
Hey.
Does Zandan have the ability to lay a little bit closer, going 1.25 miles off a little bit of a slower pace? When you look at a race like his maiden breaker, when he was only 2 lengths off of 46 half, sprinting.
Yeah. I think if he would draw
even the Remsen race,
yeah, if he draws 14 to 20, I think he could get an I'll have another type trip where he's not really that close, but he's not far back and he's outside where the dirt's not going to crush him. If he draws inside, I'm scared to death. He's going to take so much dirt and then he's going to fade way back and then we got to make a run. But yeah, I don't think he has to be that far back. I just think if he's got the opportunity with an outside draw to where he can just let him run out of that gate under the wire and just ease him over into the 3 path, I think you could end up with a perfect trip.
Yeah, I'm like you. I think maybe 2 weeks we can revisit this when the post position's been drawn, and may have a little bit of different outlook based on that draw. Everything the draw means everything, as we know. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. The 2 mysteries that remain are the final field. A couple of late defections and additions can affect the pace. We know that. And the draw and the weather. I'm assuming the weather looks good, but 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, whatever it is, who knows? White Barrio, the next horse on the points list, is a horse that really looks to have that style that you both seem to be talking about, laying, in those 1, 2, 3 spots going around. What are both your thoughts on White Barrio coming in off a pretty nice win in the Florida Derby for another guy?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Not quite in the Asmussen and Chad Brown league yet, as far as being around that long and winning those kind of races. But Safi Joseph is another guy looking for Derby win number 1.
For me, I'll go, Dan. Yeah, for me, this is one of those ones that I think is going to be overbet, and I don't like the horse. He won the Florida Derby. I think charge it with a little more experience runs by him. He's green. And I don't think he's good enough. His numbers aren't fast enough for me. Definitely distance limitations in the pedigree for me. Now the sire is young and unproven, but he didn't fare very well here so far. Now he stands in Korea, I think, or somewhere over there. And I think the horse is going to take too much action. He's going to be too short a price for me. And, his numbers, like I said, his Briz numbers are low. His buyers aren't that great. I think the horse is one of those ones I'm going to play against just because the price is going to be way too short.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's one of them that when I bet my tries and supers, I'm going to try to leave him out and hope he doesn't hit the board at 8 or 9 to 1. I just think he's going to be way too short, Joseph's numbers outside of Florida are not great, at least yet. Um, I'm not really sold on the Florida Derby because I thought Charge It was the best horse coming out of there. At least
He still may be. He wasn't
okay.
the best. He didn't win that day, but if I had to pick one horse coming out of that race, you said, John, you could own any one of these horses, which one you want. It wouldn't take me but a second to tell you Charge It.
Right. And now White Barrio, the plus signs are only 2 starts. So in theory, he's supposed to leap forward numbers wise in his 3rd start. But it is, is a 99 or 100 good enough to win? I don't think it is. I think you're going to have to run a 105 buyer. I think I figure Briz are always a couple points higher. So you're figuring, 107, 108 type Briz to win. And rags, guys that are rags guys usually got to run about a 4 or 5 to win. And White Barrio is nowhere near that. So he's going to have to really get better. And I don't see him getting a 1.25 miles. If he does, I mean, I don't know. I like Saffy Joseph and I like betting on him, but not in this spot. To me, he's only eighth on my list, and I'm going to try to leave him out of all pick 4s and 5s and all that stuff. And if he beats me, I'll be okay.
All right. Next one on the list, I think is a little bit intriguing. Doesn't really have the profile that you guys are looking for. But Mo Donegal from Todd Pletcher gets up to win the Wood Memorial under Joel Rosario. Joel sticks with Epicenter, which I think was pretty much a no-brainer. We all kind of knew he would do that. But here's another one coming off. He's got 2 mile and an 1/8 races and 2 mile and a 16th races. What do you gentlemen think of Mo Donegal?
You want to go, Dan? I love it.
Yeah, I'll go. I think I think if you're betting tries, supers, exactas, you just have to put him in because he is going to be running at the end. And now this is where every once in a while, Brisnet and Beyer completely disagree with a race. Yeah. And this is one of the biggest disagreements I've seen in 25 years. I mean, for the Beyer number to be 96 means the Briz figured to be about 100 tops. For that number to be 111, somebody got something wrong. One of the two were wrong. Now, I don't know which one's wrong. I tend to lean towards the Beyers more than I do the Briz, but somebody's wrong because there's no way there's a 15-point gap there. So if the Briz people are correct and the Wood really ran an 111 Briz speed figure, then Mo Donegal's got to be on the wire. But what I would tell you is Joel Rosario probably could have told either Steve or Todd, I'm riding this horse, and they would have had to deal with it. And he's riding Epicenter. So take that for what it's worth. But it's not like you're getting a bad rider. You're probably getting the other best rider in the world, Irad Ortiz. So, but it is the first time Irad's ever been on the horse. So he doesn't know the horse. He's going to be way back, but he's going to fly home. The question is, again, like Jimmy said on the other one, Zandon, is he going to just be too far back? And is the race profile going to be like they've all been since they took all the little speed horses out with this point system, and we're not getting song and a prayer type horses in the race anymore, and they're more legitimate, 110s to 112s to the 6 furlong marker, to where it's really hard to come from way back. So I'm putting him in my tries. I'm putting him in my exactas. I'm on the fence whether to put him in the pick 4 or 5.
Interesting. You both like him, but have some reservations about him being able to win. One thing I will say, and Jimmy, you may have a little bit of insight as a track announcer, and being really plugged in about this. Dan, I know you've been around the game a long time. I've always felt, and I've discussed it with some jockeys and jock agents, and no one's ever told me that I was wrong. But I think that the Derby is that one race where even if you ride for somebody regularly, okay? And you're tied into a barn really tight. But you have a chance to ride a horse that you might think you have a better chance to win. I think in the Derby, that's the one race that they don't really hold it against you. You know, you can kind of leave that friendship or leave that relationship outside the door and say, listen, I got a shot to win the Derby on this other horse. Is it okay, you know, if I ride him? And I think 99% of the trainers are going to be like, okay, I understand. So I think in the Derby, it's safe to say, regardless of connections and relationships, and we know that they play a part in day-to-day racing, but I think in the Derby, you can pretty much negate most of that. I think everybody rides the horse they think they have the best chance to win on. I think that's what their decision comes down to, not who am I going to ride for all year, or you know, what mounts am I going to lose if I don't keep this horse. I think the Derby is the one race you get a little bit of a pass, and you don't get it held against you. You guys agree with that?
I agree. And like I said, I've been a jockey agent for 23 years, and in addition to announcing here the last 10 or so, but I'm right with you. It's the one that it don't matter, and nobody really they don't fault you too much. And it goes both ways too. I think trainers, you know, you might have a guy that's, you know, elite rider that's ridden the horse every time, but if you can get, you know, back in the day, Pat Day or Bailey or whoever it was, you're coming off. It doesn't matter. They're taking their best hold. The jockeys are going to take their best hold, and you know, you make up down the road. You know, the relationship you nurture day to day, and the regular commitments. The Derby doesn't matter. I'm with you. Even more so, like you know, maybe the Preakness or the Belmont, taking away any Triple Crown implications. That then maybe, you know, we go with, you know, our business, or, you know, our longtime supporters or whatever. But I'm like you, Rosario fan for agents. Obviously, he'd have been in it a long time ago, but he knows what he's doing. Joel knows what he's doing, and, you know, I think he is riding the best horse. Now, I do think Mr. Donegal, or Mo Donegal, I'm going to use the horse in my pick 4s and 5s. I know Dan said he's going to throw him in the other exotics underneath, but I like the horse. I think the horse showed some grit. He had a quick turn of foot. Now, the Wood hasn't been known for, you know, producing a whole lot of Derby winners, but
kind of like the Fairgrounds race. Yeah, those are the two that somehow just
don't happen.
got lost in the shuffle.
The horse came home fast. In fact, the fastest final times of anybody in their last race. And like Dan said, I don't know which one's wrong, but if that 111 Briz is true, there are 3 horses, I think, in here that ran that early voting, and Taba being the other 2. So I like the horse. I'm going to use the horse, and distance limitations, I'm not worried about it. You know, obviously Uncle Mo sired Nyquist, so there's a lot of upside for this one. You know, taking the dirt, making that big long blitz on the turn, long sustained run, really had to work to get by early voting, and you know, I'm going to use the horse.
Tis the Bomb, a horse that I find intriguing as is it a head scratcher to me. You know, he's one of those horses. I don't know what Ken McPeak is thinking. I don't know what he's not thinking. What I think, though, is not what today is all about. It's what you guys think. So what are both of your takes on Tis the Bomb?
I'm using him. He's going to be a huge number.
I'm absolutely using him too.
I don't necessarily think everybody's talking about, you know, all these turf influences in his pedigree, but, you know, I see Tisnow there too. You know, I see, you know, I mean, not only was he a 2-time classic winner, he was a great sire on horses to go around the ground. So, you know, of course, you know, even on the top side, you know, you got War Will in those lines, but I just, everybody's entitled to a bad day. And I think the Holy Bull, I'm just going to draw a line through it, because you take that race out, there's nothing else in the horse's form to show me that. I mean, the Ellis maiden breaking performance, outside of probably Not This Time and the other Romans horse about a year and a half ago, the one that stumbled coming out of the gate in the Breeders' Cup. I can't think of his name right now. The baby.
Dennis's moment.
Dennis's moment. Those are the probably best 3 maiden breaking performances from a baby at Ellis Park I've seen. And I've been going there. I'm 46. I've been there my whole life. I mean, we've been stabled there since 76. And, you know, either being an announcer for the last 9 years there, 8 years there, and a jockey agent, and I grew up there. I've never seen a horse do that over that track. And obviously it's Ellis Park, but their baby races are really coming alive. I mean, you had a lot of good horses coming out of there. So getting back to the dirt, he did run over the dirt. He crushed, came back on the turf. Now he does have the two the Tapeta wins in his most two recent starts, but they were quick. And this is one that was to the outside wide, and he was close at Turfway. Generally at Turfway, yeah, you want to be wide, but if you're up close, most of the time you're not going to kick on. You want to be and make that big wide sweeping move, and he did. But I think he's better than he's going to get credit for, and I think what his odds are going to be is just going to be a really enticing price for me to go after him.
I agree. Price wise, I will say I think he's going to get lost in the shuffle and get overlooked and be a lot higher than people think, especially for where he falls on the points list and whatnot. So no argument there. I'm not going to talk anybody out of a horse I think is going to be.
I agree with everything Jimmy just said, and the one thing that Jimmy didn't mention was BJ Hernandez. On a day-to-day basis at Churchill Downs, since Corey Lannery's gotten older, BJ Hernandez absolutely knows that track. He's not afraid of the rail. He's not afraid to make certain moves during races. He's really underrated, especially at Churchill Downs. And I think that's something to be said, that he could make the right move at the right time, and then it's up to the horse in the middle of the lane. But he does remind me a lot of Will, that I think his future could be bouncing back and forth between the dirt and the turf. I really do. This horse, he looked so good at Ellis Park. And yeah, the Holy Bully looked terrible, but it was his first start. Who knows what could have happened? But he looked so good. And that's where it's funny. I always call these West Coast guys, I tell them they got West Coast bias. Me and Jimmy probably got Kentucky bias here, that we've seen this horse and we've watched him closely in these last two stakes, and we handicapped him. We stared at that form and we watched it, and he was so impressive. Maybe we got goggles on, but at 30-1, I want him in my pick 4 and 5. I want him in my try, because if he does a Giacomo in the middle of that lane, I'm going to be screaming instead of being all pissed off, because the 101 Briz tells me he can be right there. He's good enough to be right there. It's just going to be, can he get the trip? When he calls on him, is he ready to roll with these other top ones? I don't know. But at 30-1, I'll toss him in for sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I just said well said.
Now we come to another horse, and I guess we can't say this guy hasn't outwon his first Derby yet. He has not had a horse finish first in the Derby, but he does have a Derby win, be it an after the fact disqualification. But Brad Cox is going to send Cyberknife off a win in the Arkansas Derby, which historically has been a good Derby winning producing race. A lot of people talk over the years that the dirt track at Oaklawn, which they only have a dirt track out of it, is very similar in makeup to the Churchill Downs surface, and that's one of the reasons why the race has been so productive. I'm sure there are some other reasons too, but what are both of your thoughts on Brad Cox, who's winning everything last couple of years, and probably his top contender, Cyberknife?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
If it's up to Cyberknife, I think he's still going to be camera shy. He'd have to get kissed up again for me. Now, can he get them on for some minors? I do think so. The horse definitely has the pedigree, staying power. There's no issue with that. And the horse is on the improve. I just numbers wise, I don't think he's fast enough. And you spoke on the Arkansas Derby being a race where notoriously in the years past was one that's going to produce, it's been tough and produced Derby, but I think this year's was probably the worst one in many years, in my opinion, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. Worst Arkansas Derby in a long, long time. Now, I would say this. Mandaloon didn't look that great either. He looked a little slow. and he was Brad Cox. We've seen this before with Brad Cox, and I'm not accusing the guy of anything. I don't know, have no idea. I just know his horses run, and they run big on big days in big races, and he's going to win 4 or 5 or 6 derbies.
Eventually, I agree. I'm with you.
And this one's got kind of, I'm gonna throw a name out there. You guys are gonna laugh. Closing Argument. It was what, about 50-1.
I remember him well.
Got run down by Giacomo when a Fleet Alex was by far the best horse, and they didn't make the rider change they should have made. And he got a brutal ride, and Closing Argument just kind of stalked the pace, just kept on going, never really accelerated, but never stopped. And that could be Cyberknife to be in your trifectas. Now,
Actually, I'm going to correct you on something.
Yep.
They did make the rider change they were supposed to make, and then they changed back. If you remember, they put Johnny Velasquez on a Fleet Alex, I think, in one of the Arkansas races, maybe the Arkansas Derby or one of the other races.
Yeah,
and he didn't win, and then he didn't want to ride him back, and they went back to Rose
in the Arkansas Derby.
Right,
Yeah.
they made the change, and then they wound up changing back. So
right.
Anyway, just
and then he almost got him killed in the
that was in the Rebel.
Right, he almost fell down and got up and still won the pre.
Yeah, but you know, I'm a little aggravated because I was getting about 40,000 if he won. I had so many bets going that day into a Fleet Alex and Bellamy Road. Bellamy Road gets hurt in the middle of the race, and a Fleet Alex dove to the rail, and I was screaming when he dove to the rail. If he comes around, he wins. But that's for another day. Cyberknife, I think, is going to get that kind of trip, though, where I think when they start to turn that bend, he's going to be in the first 4 or 5. From there, if he's good enough, I don't know. I don't think he is. But, you know, putting him in a try or even a flyer type pick 3 or 4 where you hit a bunch of them, I could see, if you're going to use 7 or 8 horses, I could see throwing him in just on the Brad Cox factor, nothing else.
Yeah, I like the Brad Cox factor. In fact, I like one of his other horses. I like Zozos better than Cyberknife, but we'll get on that.
I tend to agree with that about Zozos, but like you said, we'll get them later. What do you do with a horse like Crown Prince?
Dan?
To me, he's a complete toss. I just, until somebody from over there does something,
They did in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, that's true. The Japan horses did. They did run big in the Breeders' Cup. And maybe I mean, he's the only thing I'll say is he's not going to be as big a price as we think. Handicappers are sitting there thinking, well, he'll be 50-1. No, he won't, because the Japanese people are going to all bet into the pool. And they're going to bet on this horse. I mean, I'll bet he's 15 to 20-1. And I don't know if that's high enough to take him. But, you know, if you want to throw him in as a flyer, I get it. But I don't really have much of an opinion. Until,
I don't either. I'm just not that knowledgeable with Japan racing. You know, I don't know who he's faced, what he's done. You know, I just don't know anything. Now, I know the Dubai race was good. But, you know, of course, you have to come all the way over here and, you know, hope he's here and acclimates fine and takes to, you know, this type of weather and this type of surface. It's totally different than anything he's seen. And
he is at Churchill already. I've seen some videos of him. He's on the grounds. And you know, he's training there, so he's going to have time to acclimate, for lack of a better term. But
maybe one that, you know, I might throw him in supers or something. But I don't know. I mean, how deep can you spread? I can't really make a case for him because I'm not. You know, just to be honest, I don't know enough about the Mochuki show steak or whatever you say that first one he won. You know.
To me, he's just a flyer that if you got a bigger budget and you want to add him, I can see adding him. But
you guys know who's going to ride him yet?
I don't.
I don't either. It still says no rider in the thing when I looked.
Right. All right. Tyba.
Calvin Burrell.
I was going to say
that. I don't know.
Probably as good a guy as any to reach out for at this point for him. Tyba cost $1.7 million. Has only run twice, and actually looks like, you know, a gun runner. Looks like he might have been worth $1.7 million, and I don't say that about a lot of horses. I have a different philosophy about looking for a Derby horse. I'd rather, if I'm going to spend 1.7 million, I'd rather come home with half a dozen than
Like
one.
a few of them, right?
But this horse certainly looks like 1.7. Yeah, I mean, I'd buy him now for 1.7. I'll tell you that if he'd sell him to me. I write the check immediately. What do you guys? And that's regardless of how I feel about him in the Derby. But what do you guys think? Think of Tidbit's chances, which I'm sure will be the first horse to win in a very long time. I think 1,800 and something off 2 starts. So he goes back further than Apollo and that whole Apollo thing. This is even more than that. But I don't know how many have run with just 2 starts. So
that's a figure that again. It
it's
hasn't happened.
It's a distorted fact. You know what I mean? It's
It's a 3, 4,
Exactly. And then even the Apollo fact was distorted because how many horses that ran really had a chance to break the Apollo curse? A lot of them were horses, you know what I mean? So do they count, But what do you guys think it is? If nothing else, a very intriguing entry in the Derby.
Yeah, he numbers wise, if he had 4 or 5 more races, numbers wise, we'd be salivating and he'd be 8-5. I mean, his numbers are just so high, but I think if he draws a post 12 to 18 or 19, I think he's got a monster chance. Again, but if he draws 5, 6, 7, 8, he's going to take so much dirt, and because he's not going to be on the lead unless Mike Smith does what he did with Palace Malice and just eliminates, sends him in 45 and just sacrifices him. But I mean,
or Bodemeister.
Yeah,
Michael go. Mike is not afraid to go. Go fast.
I needed him with Bodemeister so bad, I was ready to strangle him. That's a whole different story.
The fireman.
I've been beat at the wire so many times in derbies, but this horse, I think I'm such a big numbers guy. It's just hard for me after I've been beaten in the last 2 derbies by not taking the Baffert. To eliminating the Baffert, even though it says it's spelled different, Yakteen. I don't know how you bet tickets and pick 3s, 4s, and 5s and don't put him on your ticket. I just don't. I have to have him. I'm not getting beat by Baffert again. He's beat me too many. Every time I try to throw him out, he beats me. I didn't think Authentic could win from the parking lot. I didn't think he'd make the lead. He made the easy lead. I didn't think Medina Spirit could continue to run like he did last year, and he just kept going. This horse has never been headed. 111 Briz, 101 and 102 Byers, and a 7 rag first start. Now, I don't have his rag for the Santa Anita Derby. I'm assuming it's going to be probably in the 5 or 6 range.
I was going to say 4 or 5 range, but okay.
Yeah, so he's one of the very few in here that have already run fast enough to win. He doesn't have to get any faster. He's just got to run what he ran. Now, can he do it with 20 horses and Kentucky and all the other stuff? I don't know. I don't know if he can do it off 2 starts, but I'm not counting out anything Baffert sends to the post ever again in my lifetime.
A lot of these records have been going down the past couple of years, and I think, one of the things I always say is eventually they all go down, it's just a matter of when, not if. What I found very interesting about Tabor that I'll share with you guys, and I'll turn it over to Jimmy. I don't mean to interrupt too much, but a couple little things I just like to bring out is when he ran in the Santa Anita Derby, in my mind, I'm like, coming off that one race, facing Messier, Forbidden Kingdom, his only shot is if he's, just faster out of the gate. He's coming out of that one sprint. He's got to go to the lead, and hopefully they don't catch him and take Forbidden Kingdom out of his game and go wire to wire. And when Forbidden Kingdom cleared and Messier was laying second, I looked at him and I'm like, well, I guess you can draw a line through him now. There's no way he could sit off those horses and pass him down the lane. You know what I mean? Off that one wire to wire maiden win. You know, it just,
I said the same thing.
I can't see that happening. And then when he, swung to the outside, and I realized at about the 3/16 pole, or maybe, with about 2/8 of a mile, I said, this son of a gun is going to get up from sitting off the back. I said, he's got to be a racehorse, man. He's, that was just, I think, time aside, everything aside, just to do that the way he did it, to me was special. And I will share this about the Baffert situation, and you guys may know this, and a lot of people may or may not. I don't know, but Jimmy Barnes, who's Bob's assistant for a long time, is still working with these horses. There's nothing that precludes him from working with Yakteen and Sean McCarthy. Bob's signs have been taken down, but the horses are in the same stalls. The foundation that was put into them by Bob is all still there. None of that's changing. And Jimmy's gone all over the world saddling winners for him, and I'm sure we'll be in Louisville on the first Saturday in May, saddling this horse. So I don't think, maybe, and not to take anything away from Bob, if I had a horse running in the Derby and I had the chance to have Bob the one putting the saddle on and being there, I don't think anybody would say no. That's not something that's going to help you win. But I think the work's done. You know what I mean? I don't think it's as much of a difference as some people may think. I don't know that you're betting on, right, quote, Tim Yakteen. Not to take anything away from Tim. If he gets the win, he gets the win. He deserves it. I don't mean to slight him at all by saying that, but I just don't think there's as much of a change as some people may think. Right. And I think that it'll play out a little bit in the odds, because if Bob's name was in the program, what does this horse go off as compared to if Tim's name is going to be in the program? And then I'll turn it over to you, Jimmy. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to.
No, I'm glad you said that, because it's the exact point I was going to touch on. I thought coming off that sprint race, showing speed sprint and stretching out, that was the only way the horse had a chance to win. Just like you said, same exact reasons. And when he done what he done, I'm like, this horse is the real deal. Now coming into this race, yeah, you want horses with multiple races going, mile and eighth, mile 3/16, but he's checked every box as far as talent and professionalism and what he's done. And I don't think they've gotten to the bottom of the horse. When that horse bellied down through the stretch, he came across a while, and he done it easy. I thought there was tons left.
Did Mike even hit him?
No, I mean, has the pedigree, to stay on. Like you said, I don't take nothing away from Tim, but I think you could get him home from here, Dan. I mean, send him to your, you know what I mean? Like you said, the horse foundation's there. He knows what he's doing. Got the same groom, same gallop boy, same assistant, same feeding program, same everything. The horse is a runner, and I don't care, inexperienced or not, making the third start in the Kentucky Derby. The Leonidas, was the last one or whatever. I just don't think there's been a lot since there. I'm not going to use a stat like that to defer me from using the horse. And like you said, the horse might have been, 4-1 or whatever he is. He's going to be a few points higher.
I mean, let's face it. If he say he ran an allowance, a maiden race in November and win by 7, an allowance race in December and win by 10, and running the Bob or Beverly Lewis, win by 2, went to the Santa Anita Derby and win by 2, he'd be 6-5, wouldn't he?
I think, he would be. And I think
the only reason he's not 6-5 is he only got 2 races.
Right. And I think even with, and we'll never know this, but I think even with only the 2 races, if Bob's name was in the program, he'd be less than 4-1. I think he'd be. I think he'd be vying for favoritism. That I actually think that, and maybe I'm nuts, but I think he'd be vying for favoritism with Epicenter if Bob's name was in the program. And I think now, like you said, he'll be 5-6-1, and a lot of people will make him an auto toss. And he's a dangerous auto toss.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I'll tell you this. it wouldn't surprise me, Jimmy and Dan, is if he runs on the first Saturday in May the way we expected him to run in the Santa Anita Derby. I will not be surprised if he clears and is on the lead with Mike, and maybe going fast. We don't know. Like we said, Mike has a tendency, and I've spoken to Mike about this. His philosophy is if they want to go, he goes, I'd rather let him go fast and tired than strangle him and choke the run out of them. You know what I mean? Which is what he did with Bodemeister.
Hey, does Mike have Leperoux's phone number?
I would bet he does. I don't have
Leperoux's.
I have Mike's. I don't have Leperoux's.
We get in touch with the Strangler. All right.
I'm like you. I'd rather him go and maybe go a little too fast and maybe break their heart when they just think they can't chase him, run him down and let him stagger home. But nothing drives me more than nuts when I'm on a horse. They're choking the life out of a horse and just let him run. You strangle him to death. You choke the race out of him. I'd rather.
They almost never. Sometimes you can run them off their heels when you go too fast. There's a lot of times I've bet horses that are on the lead. I'm like, oh man, he's going too fast. But they run them off their heels and hold. They almost never win when you strangle that run out of them. Almost.
I'm convinced, guys. The reason American Pharoah won the Triple Crown is because Victor knows he screwed up the Belmont with California Chrome by not sending him.
Could be.
Everybody knew he had to go to the lead in the Belmont, and he grabbed him, and it cost him the Triple Crown. And I think he said, if I ever get another horse like this again, I'm sending him. I'm doing what Mike Smith does and just make him come get me. I mean, he quarter-horsed him in the Preakness. Remember, from the inside in that slop? He quarter-horsed him in the Belmont. He was going to the lead no matter what, and Mike may do that. Now, if early voting's in there, he may not be able to get to the lead anyway. But
right.
I could see Mike, especially if they draw the 5, 6, or 7 hole, I could see him quarter horsing this horse in 22 and just saying, well, we'll see how good he is. Bodemeister.
Simplification.
Yeah, this will be a quick one.
A horse that used to be, some people thought he was a speed horse. Then he got left, ran a good second, and all of a sudden he became a closer. Well, I don't know. I don't know what he is. What do you guys take of simplification?
I think he's a throw out.
I'm with you. It's that simple.
Okay. Throw out. That makes it easy. Smile Happy. A lot of hype around Smile Happy. So I'm curious both of your takes on Smile Happy.
I think you better have him on your ticket. Now, he may get murdered coming up the fence. Because Corey.
It's where he's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to pin his butt to the fence and he's going to say, all right, let's see if you're good enough. And I don't think he'll be near as close as he was in the Bluegrass. I think he'll be back 14th, 15th, 16th on the fence. And he's just going to wait and make one flying run on the turn and pray that it opens. And if it does, he could be right there. He's not coming off that. If I bet on this horse, I would be mad if he came off the rail. Because the reason I would take this horse.
That's the upside, right?
Because I'm thinking he's going to try to do the street sense, the mind that bird. He's going to pin himself down there. And when they all fan out, he's going to try to sneak through that fence. And if he gets through, I mean, he's got to win as good of a win as you can have at Churchill. And like you said, he was running green in the lane. He switched leads. It was like, I know he only has 2 starts and he's supposed to go forward in that 3rd start. But with this one, I almost wish he'd have had another start because I don't know if he's fully fit and ready to be in the Derby. And I think Kenny's going to have to pound on him the next 2 weeks to really get some quality works into him. He cannot just do maintenance works, in my opinion. I think he needs 3 full works, really good, solid works to get this horse ready. And I think he's just got to be on your tickets. I got him 4th behind Epicenter, Zandon, and Tabia. He's going to be on every single ticket I make for pick 4s, pick 5s, Oaks Derby doubles, Oaks Wood Derby pick 3s. He will be on every ticket because he ain't going to be 30-1 like that guy from New York had him. He'll be probably 12-1 area. And that's
any concern from either one of you guys And I noticed the first thing that jumps out at me, I'm like, he started him first time out at a mile and the 16th, and he won, which is not easy to do. Comes back, wins the Kentucky Jockey Club, like you said, over the track. Nice win. The Risen Star, the Blue Guy. Every race has been a route race, and he's by run happy. And I just find that odd. So any concern that he's by a stone cold sprinter and looking to win the Kentucky Derby?
I didn't have any till he got passed in the lane. Now I'm a little concerned, but I think the 12-1 kind of overcomes that. I wouldn't bet straight on him.
Okay. Jimmy, you any concern about that run happy?
There's a slight, but I mean, there's some horses on that side of the line as you go down, that were the classic.
Super Saver was a Derby winner, right?
Right.
I mean,
So none really for me. And the way the horse's running style is, and Corey rides that track very well. That is an upside for me. Like Dan said, he's going to be on the fence. Why did Calvin Burrell win 3 derbies? Well, one time he was on much the best horse. The other 2 is because he got the trip. He got the trip, and Corey's going to be down there, same thing, and they're going to open it up. Them guys, he'll stay on that paint as close as you can, and those first 2 races were impressive as can be. I thought he rode a terrible race in the Risen Star, if I'm being honest. I thought he rode the horse with way too much confidence, and he left him with too much to do to chase a horse like Epicenter. And then he came back into Bluegrass, and I think they were just starting to tighten the screws on the horse, and maybe he wasn't all the way tight. Maybe that switch in leads, greenness, and getting a little late. So I look for the horse to move forward. I look for him to get a good trip, and he's definitely going to be underneath a lot of my tickets.
All right. The next Brad Cox horse, 20 Port. I'll let you guys take it over. I will share this. He completely shocked me in the Lexington. Sometimes when you just think it's simple and you got it figured out, and then you just find out you don't, and horses will humble everybody. I was like, I don't know. I guess they're just taking a shot to get in the Derby. He didn't run no good on the dirt. He probably doesn't like the dirt. They're just taking a stare. Somebody's got to be better than this horse. I could have gone 5-6 deep in that race and still not gotten to this guy. And he winds up winning impressively, and he's probably going to wheel back in the Derby. So, is he a dirt horse? What did I miss? What's going on? What is your take on Tony Port?
Well, listen to the Brad talk. He really didn't have it. It sounds like he didn't ever question that the horse would not like the dirt, and he was right. The horse now the horse is going to have to come back in 3 weeks and really step up his game to move forward. But first couple races at Turfway were just okay races, and the Ruby the race was better than it really looks in behind Tis the Bomb. But I didn't really like. Now he won the race, but I didn't like the way he finished. The horse had this real awkward, like a laborious type stride. His head was straight up in the air. And I just, I don't know how deep the field was. Truly, if it is a dirt horse, it was just better than those. But there was a couple of decent horses in there. But I didn't like his action late. And I just didn't like him. His head was straight up in the air. And it looked like he was really working to beat that field.
Yeah, I agree. I did. The only way I would put this horse in the trifecta is because of Brad Cox. The horse could look however he looked. If it says Brad Cox is the trainer and I'm looking for long shots in the 3rd hole, I'm just putting him on the ticket. That's the only way you can be on the ticket. Based on his form, he doesn't fit. He's too slow. He's a stalker that's not going to be where he wants to be. He's going to end up being 12th or 13th or 14th. I don't see it. But again, being Brad Cox, I'm right. So leery to just throw him out when he's going to be a big price. But doesn't it flatten Tis the Bomb a little bit?
I think so. I would have liked the horse better if he was coming straight out of the Jeff Ruby Stakes instead of the win.
Yeah, that I don't like depreciating numbers.
No. Yeah, if your stats are numbers guy, there's other than the Brad Cox stats and numbers, the horse doesn't figure for me.
Right, I agree.
Okay. What about Barber Road from John Ortiz?
Let me get back.
Let me go, Dan, or
go ahead.
Do we know who's riding this one? Is he sticking with Gutierrez?
I would guess he is. I don't know that for sure. My gut tells me yes, but I don't know that for sure.
This horse,
It says it on the Derby thing, so
it's hard, it's kind of hard to knock the horse. I'm just but he's one of those. If I am knocking look at his last few races. The horse always finds himself in traffic. He's in traffic trouble, or he's not switching leads, or he's lugging in, but he's danced every dance and he showed up. The horse is 7 for 8 in the money in those last couple of races in Oaklawn. You can make a case that he was the best horse if you're a trip handicapper, but I just don't think. I don't think with a young and taking really nothing away from the kid, but riding his first Derby, the horse is going to be off the pace. He's going to, you would think, have butterflies, and I just think it's a lot to overcome.
To me, he's a stab for the bottom of your try and super, to hope that Ortiz is like Dallas Stewart and he just has some 50-1 that comes bouncing down there second, third, or fourth. Because we don't want to take favorites in the third and fourth spots in the Derby. You're not going to hit a $50,000 one taking all the favorites. So if you're going to take the favorites like Epicenter, Zandon, Tabi on top, you better take long shots in that third spot and fourth spot. I would put Barber Road in that third, fourth hole. I wouldn't put him in an exacta. I wouldn't put him on any doubles, pick threes, fours, or fives. He's not going to win.
Okay, what about the one-eyed horse, Unojo?
I don't like him. He's another one that's a complete toss for me. He's got one eye. He probably would need 6 legs to beat this field. So
I think he'd need a head start.
He's a complete draw line through for me.
Yeah, I can't even put him in tries and supers. I don't think he figures at all.
Okay, that makes it easy. I don't think the next one is going to be as easy as that. Chad Brown's other horse, who I don't know if he's running or not. I tend to think he's going to be early voting, who brings speed to the party. Now, I will offer this before you guys, weigh in. My thought on early voting going to the Wood is he could be a special horse and flying under the radar. I was actually high on him. I thought this horse might be a lot better than anybody's giving him credit for. And even though he's 2 for 2 in Chad Brown, he's flying a little under the radar. And when I saw the PPs for the Wood, I said, there's a lot of speed in here. It really doesn't set up for him. It sets up for Mo Donegal. And when he cleared, similar to the way I was surprised with Tyba not getting the lead in the Santa Anita Derby, I was surprised that early voting was able to clear the field in the Wood Memorial the way that he did. And I thought he ran a very good game race for an inexperienced horse that had to clear that other speed. And that horse had to come home pretty fast to run him down. But again, that was my take. What do you guys think?
Jimmy?
It's another one. Inexperienced, making his 4th start, but he gave that horse all he wanted in the Wood. He stretched him and belly down and dug in, and he's one for me. He does, if he's in, he checks a lot of the boxes. Now, he is fast. I don't know that he has to be on the lead.
I agree. I don't think he does, but
I think, Gun Runner. Now, this second crop of Gun Runner, I think they're better than the first crop. And, you have Stormcat in the line. There's a lot of upside. You get Chad Brown. Everybody they want to knock him, say he's a turf trainer, but he's going to knock out a Derby here pretty soon. Yeah. And I like the horse a lot. Now, that was his horse's 3rd start.
He's a turf trainer that has a Hall of Fame resume on the dirt, if you look at it already. So,
I agree. I like the horse. That Briz number come back, 111? It's another one. Is it right?
His prime power is first in the field. Now, I'm not huge on that prime power stuff, but when they're number 1 out of 20 horses, you got to at least pay attention when you're staring at 20, 25-1. So, if he was 6-1, I'd tell you, nah, I'm not taking him. But at 20-1, and boy, I know a bunch of people watching this are going to say, you got to be nuts, but I love Jose Ortiz. I think He's one of the top 3 or 4 riders on the planet.
You know, I like it. I like it better than his brother.
And he doesn't get the 3 to 5s every day that his brother gets. He's constantly, I say this at Saratoga all the time. If he's on a 5, 6, 7 to 1 shot, you better have him on your ticket. He's one of the few riders that can move a horse up. And I think that's what he did in the Wood. I mean, he just beat the gate and just said, I don't care how much speed's in here, like he did with Serengeti Empress in the Oaks. I don't care. She's on the dead outside. There's all this speed. I'm going 2 in front of everybody. And he just gets there. When he wants to get there, he gets there. And I'm not saying I like the horse, but at 20, 25 to 1, I think it's the kind of race that you want to stab a couple bombs, and he's going to be one of them for me.
You think he's going to be that long? Wow.
I mean,
okay.
He's 20 to 1 on all these prognosticators stuff. So maybe he goes to 15. I mean, I don't know. There's not enough Brisnet players. There's a ton of buyer speed figure guys. And when they stare at that 96, they're going to say, it's too slow. And they're just
I think everybody wants triple buyers and triple Briz. You know, if you're going off of years past, I mean, but no, I like the horse. The horse is going to be, you know, big price, and I think it has to be on your ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Morello, who had that disastrous beginning in the Wood Memorial? Might have had a major impact on the whole race.
Yeah, I just wondered. I haven't heard anything. I'm just wondering if there was an excuse. I mean, the thing out of the gate, that didn't look like enough to me. You know, you see the trouble, and then the horse just stayed near the tail of the field, tightened up a little bit down the backside, and then just never kicked on. And beaten favorite, you know, coming into that race, he had to be at the top of everybody's, or near the top of everybody's list, I thought.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with this one. The Blue Lion guys are all friends, and I root for them like crazy, all the New York guys. And but man, I mean, who's ever won a Derby with a prep race looking like that? It's just hard for me to take him. I guess I could put him on the bottom of a try or super, but I can't have him on any pick 3s or 4s. I wouldn't be mad if he beat me, because all the guys that are friends of mine would be winning the Derby and dancing around screaming. But I just can't take him off that last race.
Well, prior to that last race, like I said, I think he was just on the steady improve. I mean, he was catch eyes, and that race, I don't know what to make of it. And like we spoke earlier, I mean, everybody has a bad day, so I don't know. For a price, throw it underneath it. Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, Hall of Fame barn, good connections, pedigree's certainly there.
Somebody's got to run 3rd or 4th in this race. And
how many times you been beaten by the other Steve?
Yep.
Right. The other, whoever it is, the other Chad, the other Steve, the other Brad. We got a lot of others in here. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
If you're gonna be betting a pick 4 and pick 5 and start worrying about that, you're gonna be throwing in a lot of horses. You're
a lot of others in there.
Going to double or triple, because the other guy's gonna have a horse. Even Ken McPeak, the other McPeak. So there's 8 you got to use right there. You know what I'm saying? So
hope there's a single in the undercard.
Right. Now let's talk about the other Yak team, because we got Messier, who I'll say this before you guys start. I think, and again, I could be wrong, but I think, Messier was a short price going into the Santa Anita Derby. I thought he was better than Forbidden Kingdom and should be the favorite. He wasn't. Everybody loved Forbidden Kingdom. I was never sold on him. But I do believe that if Messier sat 3rd, went past Forbidden Kingdom, and won the Santa Anita Derby easily, he would be the one vying for favoritism with Epicenter. But he wound up chasing, which I don't think was his best scenario. So I don't know. I'm a little confused on what to do with him. What do you guys think of Messier?
I think you got to use him. He's one of the top 4 or 5 in here. I think his late pace numbers are really good. He's only had 1 start since February. He's only had 2 since December 11th. I mean, he's got every right to just move forward. And he's running triple digit after triple digit after triple digit. Nobody else is doing that other than Tavia. I mean, Epicenter's got one
Epicenter.
I mean, that's it. I mean, so the two favorites, and him. I mean, and you're going to get around 8 or 10 to 1 on this horse. I I think you have to use him, and you get the Hall of Famer John Velasquez. I I don't know how you bet any pick fours or fives and don't put the. I've been burned too many times by Baffert. I've got scars all over my back from not using Bafferts, and I'm never doing it again. I'm telling you, just don't get burned again. I know it would be a horrible story for everybody, but it just is what it is. This horse can really run, and he's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 when they turn that bend. And I mean,
Those irony things do happen. You talk about things like that, and you look at Taiba as the owner of Medina Spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bob sitting on the sidelines. How much would that guy love to win this race just to be like, and Johnny coming back, riding, another one of Bob's horses for Tim.
And on
How
paper,
much?
this horse is faster than Medina Spirit.
Yeah. I mean, how much would they love to win? And it's weird how those things happen. You know what I mean? And it's just, and then what do you, be a lot to write about, a lot to talk about if one of Bob's horses win.
He's got
and just to throw a little curve, to throw something out there that nobody's really said yet. Nobody publicly has said this, and this time I mean it. I'm not talking about my Fairgrounds record, but this is another interesting thing. Jimmy, you're a student of the game. Dan, you're a student of the game. You'll appreciate this. Bob withdrew the lawsuit against Churchill Downs with the right to refile it by basically saying that, we don't know what the damage to me is yet because my horses now are running, blah, blah, blah. If one of his horses win, okay, now the damage is, hey, you cost me the record. Okay, Medina Spirit, let's say you were justified in that, okay, and you took that away because he was positive for betamethasone, and I concede that, but you suspended me longer than you really had to. You barred me from the Derby, even though I'm only, you didn't give me the appeal, the stay during the appeal. Now maybe he does have a claim that he suffered, quote, the irreparable harm that he would need in that suit against Churchill. So I would tend to think that his legal team are probably rooting for those horses as well, because I think that may give him, and again, I'm no lawyer, I'm a high school dropout, I'm the last guy that knows anything about any of this stuff, but I think it creates a potential argument that he did suffer some irreparable harm if you can prove that it was unjustified, or he winds up winning the Medina Spirit case in court down the line, which we don't know if that's going to happen or not. If he does, then you kept me out of the Derby, and that's something I maybe can't get back. That's irreparable harm by definition.
Jimmy, what do you think of Messier?
Messier, this is the first time I think that I'm going to disagree with you guys. I don't. Prior to his last race, I liked the horse. The last race, I didn't like, and I don't even. Didn't matter if he, to me, if he had a different trip. He was on the lead. He was stalking. He had pace to run at. I didn't like his action whatsoever. His action in the back end looked totally off to me. He never looked comfortable the entire trip. Now, is it something they can fix between now and then? Yeah. But, even down the lane, into the first turn, it really looked like it. Down the backside, the horse just, to me, always looked uncomfortable. And, when he came across the line, his tail was just straight. I mean, it was just straight, and the horse just didn't look right. Is it one day? Is it something can be fixed? Absolutely. Does he have a good team that can fix him? Yeah. But for the price he's going to be, I don't want any part of him off that trip. And he would have to improve a whole lot to outrun the horse and outrun him, even if, he was all right. Now, he is, like you spoke of, one of, what is there, 3 horses in here that have triple-digit buyers and triple-digit Briz. So, I mean, that's one of the stats you want to look at. But I was not comfortable with his action at all last time. And for that reason, I don't really, it doesn't matter if he's 4-1 or he's 15-1. no price could entice me to get on this horse.
Interesting. Okay. Now we get to Jimmy. Why don't you start with Zosos, because you did say that he was the Brad Cox horse that you liked a little bit better. I tend to agree with you. I think of the horses that Brad's running, he's the one that catches my eye. Another very lightly raced horse. We've got a Derby with a lot of lightly raced contenders in it this year. So
who's going to ride him?
Good question. Very good question.
If I was Flo's agent, I had my choice between he and Cyberknife, I would pick this one. But
so would I if I was.
I'm not Doug Radar, but now, the maiden breaking performance, first time out sprinting. Obviously, the horse, Munnings, the horse looks like he wanted more ground, but did run on. Came back in that first level allowance race, ran out the TV screen, and then in the grade 2 moving forward, and just his third start of his life, he gave probably the favorite of this race everything he wanted, and it was tough for him to run by. I think the horse is going to move forward off that race, not only with experience but with fitness level, and I think this one that will want some more ground. Now the horse is on the lead last time, don't have to be on the lead. I'm interested to see who rides the horse too, but that final furlong that he ran, even though it looks like he got ran by, he still dug in. And I mean, the final 8th and the final 3/8, it was a really quick time, and I think the horse is going to be a decent price, and I got to have him on every ticket.
Wow, yeah, he's going to be a monster price. Nobody ever gets to 50 to 1 in the Derby. They're all, because everybody bets their $2, so you're probably going to be 30 to 1, 25 to 1. But he'll play 50 to 1 in the pick 4 or 5. Even the Oaks Derby doubles, you can make a $2 double. It could pay 2,000. So I could see it. I would love to see Corrales get this mount. It's probably a pipe dream, but I think that kid's a stud. He just needs a chance, and
I agree.
He's a speed rider, and he's a speed rider. And man, look what he's done at Keeneland in just a few opportunities. And other than that, I guess Santana, he's not riding anything, is he? I don't know who he goes to. I don't know who Cox will go to here. I really don't. But I think the horse has a chance. He's one of them that, again, tries and supers. To me, you have to have horses like this on your ticket. I think he's got a big chance to hit the top 4. So I got to have him on.
No. Okay. Horse coming from Dubai, another one. Summer is tomorrow. Auto Tours?
He is for me.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I tossed him Crown Pride and he beat him. So,
all right.
But maybe if you're going short enough, you're playing a super high 5, whatever. Maybe if you buy those, buy the bottom part of it. But I
think it makes the race easier because now there's only 18 of them you got to worry about.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the next one is that easy to toss.
No, me neither.
Even though you guys don't like White Barrio, Charge It runs second to him.
I think you got to take him.
Yeah,
it's a long shot. Yeah. At least on your tries and supers. Maybe not on top. Because gosh, you can only take so many depending on the undercard. Now, like Jimmy said, if you can find a single on the undercard. I don't know if Jackie's Warrior's coming back in the Churchill Downs sprint, but if there's some stud on the undercard to where you can take 6 or 7 or 8 of them, then you got to take a stab or 2. But I think Charge It's one of those that that 98 number. He ran so green in the lane. I thought he was by far the best horse in the Florida Derby after the race. Watching replays, I'm going to use him on some tickets. Yeah.
To run that kind of race in your first start after breaking your maiden, you expect the horse to be green and wonder about like he did. And if he moves forward at all, we weren't on White Barrio, but like I said, I think this horse is the better horse, with the race under his belt and a little more experience. And I guess Louis riding this horse. That's why I asked. I didn't know if he's staying with this one or if he'll ride that horse of Brad's, because I know he rides for both guys.
I'll tell you something funny. I had Safi Joseph on the show last week, and I interviewed him. And of course, we spoke mostly about White Barrio and some of the racing issues and things like that. And then I asked him, I said, I got to ask you, a lot of people are talking about the Florida Derby and Charge It. What did you think of his race? And the first thing he said, I thought was very funny. I mean, I almost want to like sound clip it. He says, well, he goes, first thing I thought is I looked at him in the paddock and he scared me, which I thought was a good testament to the kind of specimen that this horse must look like. I've never seen him up close in person, but that's what he said. He goes, well, I looked him in the paddock and he scared me. So, take it for what it is. But
it certainly has a pedigree to scare somebody.
That's true too. That's
he would not shock
true.
me if he won and paid $40 or $30. He's going to probably be 12 to 15 to 1. He just like little ET kind of, where it's a little surprise, but it wouldn't be a monster surprise, not to me at least.
No,
I think this horse has a ton of ability. I got him in my top 10. I just got to figure out post positions and undercards and all that other stuff. But he's one you got to consider him, especially at that price.
I agree.
Happy Jack, Doug O'Neill. He's one who does have a couple of Derby wins. What's your take on Happy Jack?
Go ahead,
as much as I like Doug O'Neill, I don't see this horse fitting at all. I know they like to come and party, and I'm assuming that's what they're doing. But as far as a horse that can win the race or even hit the board, I don't see any way this horse can hit the board. Okay. I just think he's way, way too slow, and he's not really a closer that's going to make up a bunch of ground late.
Yeah, the numbers to me don't indicate that he's fast enough to be part of the ticket.
Okay. Pioneer of Medina, the first maybe we got here.
I wouldn't use him if he drew in. I mean, I know he ran third in the Louisiana Derby and fourth in the Risen Star, and we like all those horses out of that race. I mean, I could see based on just pedigree alone putting him in the super because he's going to be 50 to 1. And I never fault people for putting horses in supers and tries at huge monster prices. But other than that, I don't see any way he sniffs the first or second slot. Maybe somehow would keep going for third or fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not using him myself.
Yeah, I mean, I could see pitching him too.
In due time, do we think he's even going to run if he gets the chance to run?
After that performance Saturday, I doubt it.
I tend to agree.
I mean, I'm more mad at the ride than I am the horse. He gave the horse absolutely no chance by that ride. He was the only speed in the race. He was on the inside. He had every reason to just pop the gate, let him roll, and see how good he is, see how far he can go. And he grabbed him.
What are you talking about? I didn't hear you.
In due time with Paco.
I was waiting for you to ask me about my haircut. You see, I'm letting it grow.
Oh, no.
I'm not getting a haircut till Paco Lopez rides for the 4th position on a ticket.
Oh, that'll never happen.
I'll look like Rip Van Winkle when it's over.
All right.
Yeah, so no, I wouldn't use him if he got in. It would cut my tickets down.
Coach Dwayne Lucas at Ethereal Road.
Was he 4th in the race the other day in the Lexington? Or?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't use him. He's too slow for me.
I won't argue with that. You agree, Jimmy?
Yeah, I agree. I don't like him either. I don't think he won't be part of my plays. Coach will be part of my play on Friday though. But
that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. You guys want to keep rolling down a few more? I think we're up to 24.
Yeah, I think we're good, don't we? I'd rather talk about just for a second the Oaks.
Okay, what do you guys think of the Oaks? Everybody's talking about what a great stellar field it is and what a great addition it is. And what do you guys think?
I think it's an absolute awesome race. I can't wait to bet on Nest, and I know a lot of people will tell me I'm crazy, but I think this horse is the only horse. If I could bet an advanced bet on the Alabama at Saratoga, I would bet on Nest. She can run all day long. And I think she's got tactical speed. I think she's going to be in front of Kathleen O and Secret Oath, and they're going to have to run her down. And I don't know if you can run her down because she's not going to stop. Echo Zulu made me enough money at Saratoga. She don't ever have to win another race, and I've got the money on her at 4-1 first time out. She's never been headed, but how do you take a horse and not only run one prep? I love Steve A, but man, one prep for the Kentucky Oaks to go 1 1/8. I can't use her. So I think it's between Kathleen O's Secret Oath and Nest, and I'm going to take the one with the higher price, but I'll probably use all 3 of them horses in the Oaks Derby double.
I think it's a Fab Four. The Kathleen O, Echo Zulu, Nest, and Secret Oath. I mean, I think those are the 4, and it wouldn't honestly surprise me if any of the 4 won. It's going to be a kind of a tactical riders race probably between those. I'm Echo Zulu. Maybe a little concerning the one race off the Breeders' Cup win, but I'm not going to question anything Steve does. Well,
get ready for all the experts to tell you how she's loud in her workouts. We had to hear that for the Breeders' Cup. I just laughed. I said, yeah, she's been loud since May. So that's just the way she works. So if you guys out there hear that, oh, she's loud in her works, just ignore it. It has nothing to do with it. She's always loud.
One thing I will offer about the Oaks, if you watch Kathleen O's races at Gulfstream Park and the short stretch races, and I'll go on record saying I hate short stretches. I don't care if they're at Keeneland, I don't care if they're at Gulfstream, I don't care if they're at Oaklawn Park. I just feel like I need the whole stretch for my horse to get up. I need the real wire. Never mind these short stretch wires. But very rarely do you see a horse come from off the pace at Gulfstream wide like that and win some of them short stretch races the way Kathleen O did. And that kind of caught my eye and made me say, she might really, really be the goods. But again, I felt the same way about Nest and Secret Oath running against the boys and just, Echo Zulu obviously can go forward off that race. One thing that you said, Dan, that I will point out, I get the whole one prep thing, and it is a little concerning that she started so late and nobody really knew where she was or what he was doing. And, that tells me that maybe there was a hiccup there that we may not know about. But if you look historically at Steve's horses, he often improves significantly second off the layoff. He does that, you know what I mean? He runs a horse and you're like, wow, this horse just ain't quite the same. And the next time out, all of a sudden they're back. So
it is hard to doubt him.
I'm afraid to read too much into that one race and the fact that she really had to kind of gut it out a lot harder than some of us thought she would have to. So, but Kathleen O was the one that really kind of stuck out to me, just doing what she did at Gulfstream and knowing how hard it is to do it at that racetrack. With that, I think you guys did a great job running down the field, separating some of the men from the boys and contenders from pretenders. Dan, anything on fatballguy.com, Keeneland Dan special for the Derby that you want to tell people about?
Yeah, we'll get a Derby week special. And if you just want the Oaks and Derby, we got that too. So we got that running, fatballguyracing.com, and everybody's welcome. I mean, we're doing these things on purpose to try to get the word out there and try to help people. And the yearly membership, we sold so many of those last year. We're hoping that by offering a little bit of a discount on that, you don't just buy the Derby, but you just say to heck with it, let's just buy the whole year, and you'll get all the way till Derby next year. So you're going to get a ton of stuff.
All right. Jimmy, thank you for coming on. I Passed the Wire. We're doing our annual Oaks Derby live seminar. You can find out about that on Passed the Wire. I'll put a link to Dan's site at the bottom of this video for everybody who's interested. Jimmy, you got any big plans for the Derby or anything that you want to tell us about, or you be watching from the best seat in the house?
I'm going to be a spectator. I'm going to be there rooting with the mint juleps or beer, whatever I have by that race, and hopefully a bunch of live tickets in my hand. So, but
you're a mint julep drinker?
Well, it depends on what time of day I'll go after it.
I had a
I don't
mint
really like the
julep.
taste of them, but if I have 5 or 6 beers or
And
7 before then, I'll do, when in Rome.
I gotta say, and I'm a win in Rome kind of believer too, and I'll try anything. But first time I went to a derby, I'm like, I gotta have one of these mint juleps, okay? And me, I'm a big shot. I think, oh, So I went and I found some special place. They were selling them in some beautiful silver cup that I was going to keep. Because the cup was like commemorative, they charged me like $100 for it or some ridiculous amount of money like that. And I took a sip, and I tell you, I thought it was poison. Okay, I would rather. There is nothing in the world that you could say I would not drink quicker than a mint julep. I took one sip. I kept the cup. I got the cup, but I spilled that thing out. And oh man, it was. I says, how? If anybody says they like that, I think they got to be lying.
I'm with you, but I'll partake. And
I mean, they couldn't pick a better drink for the Kentucky Derby drink than a mint julep. I mean, give me a sweet iced tea and pour some vodka in it or something, anything you want.
Yeah. They had them frozen cherry vodka things in the grandstand for years.
I'll take anything over.
Tastes like ices, like a kid when you're drinking them ices.
Man, if you left me in the Sahara Desert, okay, for a week, and I was dying of dehydration, where you came back with a doctor and said, John, you got about 30 seconds left if you don't get some liquid in you, and handed me a mint julep, I'd be like, it's all right, guys, I'm out.
You don't want that $1,000 one?
I'm out, man.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you guys on. Come back anytime. Glad we could give you a format. We'll have this on YouTube. I'll stop the recording now, and then we'll say goodbye off camera, and I will let you guys go.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Nobody does it better.